Okay, sweet loves, this is part 2 of my Mercury Retrograde Retreat Debrief. I should probably come up with a more eloquent title, but here we are. Done is better than perfect. Okay, so now if you missed part 1, go watch part 1. That is the foundational understanding of what Mercury retrograde is and what it isn't. It gives that foundational information in order to see kind of what I built from. So now what I want to do is I want to actually translate that foundational information of what Mercury retrograde is and what it isn't into what I actually did during my Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde seems to be a little bit of a tongue twister for me, so from now on I'm just going to call it MX. So during my MX retreat, I am just looking at my notes here because I did a lot of things, you guys. You know what, before I even get into my notes, let's just talk a little bit about this. I was on fire during Mercury retrograde in the best possible way. I mean, being on fire clearly doesn't sound like a good thing, but I was so in the zone, so in flow, and you're gonna see in the 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde, I got so much done, so much clarity, so much productivity, so much space, so much expansion, so much rest, which blows my mind at my ability to do all the things and still feel in such flow. I think I can only remember one day where I was like, I should have stopped earlier. I should have stopped sooner than I did. And I learned from it. So then the next time I felt that way, I was like, yep, this is my sign, my clue, my energy letting me know I'm done for the day. And I closed my computer and that was it. Everything I did was in flow. I used the Mercury retrograde as my quarterly review to see what's working, what's not, what loose ends I needed to tie up, what I needed to finish working on. And yeah, it was just absolutely amazing. But like I said, none of it felt forced. I still really honored that first in Mercury retrograde, the rest component of it, right? The retreat component of it. I really, really honored that, but I still looked at all of the things that I wanted to get done that needed to be tied up, that I wanted to really harness the energy of Mercury retrograde to make the absolute most of it and really be in alignment with that energy. And so I had the projects that I wanted to finesse, I guess, but every single day, every single morning, I would sit with my planner and I would look in my Asana, which is my project management software, and I would say, okay, these are the projects that I'm working on. What do I feel like working on today? Now pay attention to that language, right? I didn't take what was in my Asana as concrete, this is what I had to do. This is where this really became a beautiful tool for me because I was able to map out my to-do list each and every single day based on what I had already pre-planned in Asana. And if something didn't feel good, then I readjusted. Right? There's that word with Mercury retrograde. So I looked at what I had planned to do, but then I used my authority, I used the energy, and I used that flow and that rest energy to ask myself, okay, what do I actually feel like doing today? What would feel fun for me to do today? So that was kind of the base process that I did. And I will do a planner walkthrough video for YouTube. So no worries about that. If that's something that you're interested in. Actually, if it is something that you're interested in, let me know so that I'm not making a video that nobody cares about. So now let's talk about what I actually did during my Mercury retrograde retreat. Okay, so first and foremost, I read a lot. I read so many books in the last 3 weeks, which was really nice because I've actually been feeling like I'm in a bit, I was feeling like I was in a bit of a book lull coming into 2021. I wasn't reading a lot, and like anytime I would try to read, it's almost like I felt like I was forcing myself to read it. It was like, hello, you love this, like you love reading, like why does this feel like a chore? And I think maybe it was because I wasn't giving myself the space, because I was just like so frantic and trying to plan and trying to do this and like trying to do all the things, and I wasn't giving myself the space to actually relax and enjoy reading. So what I did was I bought myself, and I wish that I had it right now, but I legit bought myself an analog alarm clock with like a little button on top, and that's what I used as an alarm clock. And I started charging my phone downstairs. So at 9 o'clock, I would get an alert on my phone to plug in my phone. I would plug it in by the Google Home, and that was it. Like I was done with technology for the evening. So for about an hour before bed every night, instead of scrolling through my phone or watching TikTok or checking my emails or whatever it was I was doing, I actually had the space to just read, which was beautiful and really, really honored that relaxing and that resting energy. And funny enough, read is also an RE word, so that's just ironic. I joined a new business program pre-Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde, we're usually told to like not start new things or not sign up for new things. So I actually signed up for this program before Mercury retrograde, MX. And during Mercury retrograde, I went balls deep into this program. I did a deep as fuck dive into my business, into all the material, and I tore everything apart. I readjusted, reestablished all of the things. I went through what I liked, what I didn't like. I found what my strengths are in my business, where I need to outsource things in my business. I reestablished a whole new framework foundation for my business, which it's not technically new, it's just I can actually explain it now. Like I have a process to actually explain what I do in my business because I finessed it. I finished 3 separate courses in that one program. Like I went through 3 courses, and these are like week-long courses that this business program has put out in the past. I finished 3 of them in that one program. And then I also did 1 3-day intensive to get my QuickBooks up in order because that was just causing me such stress. That was one thing Mercury retrograde showed me wasn't working, me trying to figure out my QuickBooks on my own. So I hired someone, and we did a 3-day boot camp. It was like 8+ hours every day. My brain was scrambled eggs by the end of every single day. Like I was just so brain dead. So 3 days, 8+ hours each day, just like cleaning out my QuickBooks, setting it up, getting my chart of accounts ready to go, making sure a profit loss statement was actually readable for me, getting my finances separated from my personal finances and my business finances. Like my finances were a hot mess. MX showed me that's something that I needed to pay attention to, and that I needed to take this time to clear out and rectify, that's another RE word, and get that situated. And I did that. Now, I'm just going to kind of list off the other things that I did because it's a lot, and I'm just going to read it here. So I redid my entire website. I closed my Podia store. I did several authentic soul maps. I readjusted and finessed my business offerings and how I'm going to make money in my business moving forward. I refreshed my client onboarding processes. I created 54 weeks worth of content topics. I refreshed my marketing strategy and created a new webinar, which is launching soon. I switched email marketing softwares, created multiple business analytic tracking sheets in Google, and started to keep track of my financial books like a real CEO by setting up my QuickBooks, balancing my books from the last 6 months, while reviewing my business purchases and looking at a profit loss statement for the first time in the life of my business. And I discovered that I have been severely undercharging, y'all, and that is changing. It's already changed. So I did all of that in 3 weeks. Plus, during those 3 weeks, I worked out 3 times a week. I helped my dad with the family business. I took care of my household, my pets, my partner. I gardened, I crafted. I bought some coloring books because I wasn't on social media very much. And I was like, oh, look at all this extra fucking time I have to actually do things I enjoy. instead of just wasting my time on social media not doing anything. So I bought some coloring books and I crafted. I cooked some new meals. I tried some new recipes that were amazing and are now part of my regular repertoire. And I spent a lot of evenings just swinging in the hammock. Like, what? So all in all, I did a lot in Mercury retrograde. I am so elated coming out of this Mercury retrograde. I no longer feel hesitant or worried about Mercury retrograde. I'm like, bring it the fuck on. If every Mercury retrograde can be like this or even better moving forward, I am here for it. Like, Mercury retrograde has become my time to shine, like I said in part 1. So that's what I did. That's part 2. What I'm going to talk about in the next part of the series is what I learned during my Mercury retrograde retreat. So if that seems interesting to you, keep watching. I love you. Getting distracted by this hair. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about what I learned during, or maybe not tomorrow. I don't know when I'm posting these. I'm going to record it tomorrow. I don't know when it's being posted.